Welcome to 5D All Day. I'm Danielle Kane, the host of this podcast with Spirit Calling, and we're excited to be here. And we have two of our members from Spirit Calling that we'll introduce in just a moment. And sometimes we get some other guests as it comes along, and people watching also remotely. So I want to thank you for being here, and we're excited to have our little chat today. So let's go. And Rochelle, would you mind introducing yourself a little bit? Just kind of how you came to Spirit Calling and a little bit about, what brought you here and anything else that you'd like to share.
Okay. Well, I've been a member of Spirit Calling, I guess, probably right about a year. Um, and I got into this deep dive about 3 years ago. I had a friend that died suddenly, and I thought, there's got to be more to this life. And I was walking, emotional after, and I asked him for a sign, and that sign showed up. So then it just took me on this whole new journey. And I listened to this podcast called The Skeptic Metaphysicians. And I heard Pamela, and there was just something about her and her story and her authenticity. It just resonated with me. And I couldn't imagine waking up with any bigger, wonderful group of people.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. We were chatting a little bit about that yesterday. We did the meditation. There's a bunch of stuff that you can do within Spirit Calling, and Nicole ran a really beautiful meditation, and we had a nice chat afterwards for probably about 45 minutes, just talking about all sorts of things. So it was really nice.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
Michael, you please share. My son is in the background. I gotta address an issue for a second, but please introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi, I'm Mike. I been kicking around doing, I guess, transitioning. Uh, I get back good.
I'm back. Come on
It's
in.
gonna talk to nothing. Uh, well, you say, where's our soul path? So, like this journey for me started in 2011 through um, I would say, a trauma-based incident. Um, that sort of dovetailed into the rest of my life because I've been an empath or sensitive since I was a kid, and what happened in 2011 just blew my boat out of the water, basically. You know,
Hmm.
spiritually, it just shattered my soul, basically, but not my soul, but my sense of myself. So I've been trying to navigate my mental health and then later it just compounded into physical health because when your mental health is devastated, it affects you personally, your physical health. So I discovered the body keeps a score
Hmm.
back in 2017 that I equated my mental health with my physical health, and then just finding out what's causing it doesn't stop the illnesses. So I started getting chronic illnesses in 2015. I had one in 2007 called Graves' disease, which is hyperthyroidism, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So, but and I will get, we have reasons for that, but and then I had another one, diabetes in 2015, and blah blah blah. I kept getting these diseases, and the only thing that seemed to make things better or mitigate things was to release the anger, self-compassion. And then I started realizing that when I get more interested in spirituality, it seemed to help my body more and it seemed to mitigate the after effects or the potential of getting something else. So, and even though I have a lot of health issues, I'm happier for diving down into spirituality. So in 2024, I was really craving to be with a group. And so I was like, and then I stumbled across Pamela August 2024 and I joined. And I've been here since then. So, and
Great.
it's every day, every month, every year. We keep evolving as a group and it's fun to be with other people here as we see each other evolve differently because everyone's uniquely different and their
Yeah.
spiritual journeys like a unique flower of of perspective of the soul. So each one of us are flowers of the soul per se, right? And we're all uniquely different, and we're all part of the one. So we're all different
I
perspectives of the one.
That was amazing. Like
Yeah,
that is something that I've come to know, like when I first had my spiritual awakening, and I wanted to talk to you about both of you about kind of how you came to spirituality, came through death, right? In a sense, like someone passing. And for me, I felt like maybe I was having my own personal death of a version of me becoming something else, and
yeah,
awakening to something like a whole nother consciousness. Um, but I think I just lost my train of thought. What you were saying about the journey, and when I
yeah.
first came to spirituality, I kind of thought everyone was on the same page, everyone believed the same things and belief system.
Nope.
Not only that, I learned quickly that everybody is in different places for a reason. And, I slowly started stripping away a lot of my beliefs and my attachments to things, which I still am, and still kind of seeking answers just where I am in my lifetime right now. I think everybody's, where you are on your journey is purposeful for you. Like where I'm very much still involved in my kids' lives as being their caregiver, caretaker, their teacher, all sorts of things. So whatever's coming to me now and some of the questions, a lot of it is like led by God, right? Being really God centered, which not that God wasn't present in my life or Jesus in the sense, but it's becoming more and more in my presence as far as guiding us for where my kids are going to be present, because if God is not present where we are, it has been kind of dark, to be honest. And
Yeah,
so we've homeschooled and we're led more towards some type of Christian path, even though we're not religious, it's still kind of there for a purpose. And that's kind of where my spirit is led, and never would have thought ever.
yeah.
I was a raised non-denominational, I was Danielism forever, until now I'm just kind of an open vessel. Whatever wherever the calling is I'm just listening. So
He is
thank-
being in the moment. So
absolutely
Yes,
being in the moment.
yes. Suki.
Hi, Suki.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. I'm not dressed up, so I'm off camera right now, but
That's fine. Even if you want to share a few things real quick, we just went around with like an introduction, and Michael just like had some so brilliant words to say. I had to, I had to respond to it. So if you don't mind, just in a few short words, just how you found spirit calling and anything about your journey so far with
yeah,
spirituality or awakening or however you connect with it.
yeah. So I'm Saki. I fell into spirituality obviously during the COVID times. I started following people like Sadhguru,
Mm.
started exploring, obviously being out in nature, connecting with nature a lot more, which a lot of people did at that time. And I missed kind of being able to go certain places and, be out in nature further afield, because they told us not to do unnecessary travel at the time. And yeah, and spirit calling I found during the Cosmic Truth Summit.
Oh,
So I
awesome.
came across Pamela then. And yeah, so immediately, I think something was waking me up. I think I said when I initially joined the group, I felt like I couldn't sleep. I was tossing and turning. And then I woke up
Yeah.
and I joined the group and I went back to sleep. So it was something
And you
was
went back to
waking,
sleep?
yeah, something was waking me up. Right, go join
That's
this
Spirit wouldn't
person.
let you sleep until you took the
Spirit's like,
action.
all right, I signed up. I'm going back to bed. No, just kidding.
Yeah, that was it. It was like, okay, I've signed up. I'm going back to bed now. That's
I
it.
love it.
I think there was a
And
sound healing that I played to help me as well to go back to sleep. But yeah, so I was like, I'm in the right place. And yeah, I jumped in on the Friday call and yeah, I kind of enjoyed the conversations. And it was nice because people were speaking freely about their experiences and at different stages. And yeah, I felt like, oh, I belong here. I could talk about aliens and whatnot. And
yeah,
yeah.
I love it. And by the way, Pamela is on YouTube watching. I don't know if she's in and out. She said hi, Spirit Family, and Rose is also on saying hello, all. So we are appreciative that
Hello,
you're here
hello.
with us on YouTube. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And that was a lovely introduction too. I love that everyone feels so comfortable and there's so many different walks of life. I mean, in getting to meet everybody in the physical is like a big goal of mine. I know Pamela wants to have at some point maybe a reunion or something like that. But I met Nicole before I actually got her to join Spirit Calling, and then she started her whole meditation. And I met her in Colorado because we wanted to talk about 5D and bringing in New Earth and all sorts of stuff. And that's kind of how my podcast kind of originated. And then just this past month, I went to Atlanta and I met Dina and Michael, not this Michael, but the other Michael in person. And it felt so good. I can't tell you, it was like meeting family that you haven't seen. So there is something about that connection, because it's like, the frequency is right there versus like us through this barrier. It's beautiful, but there's something different and deeper. So I really hope, and you guys, I know Michael, you got to meet Pamela and Dina and
In
everybody
San Diego, yeah.
in San Diego. So I
Yeah.
think it's great that if somehow we manifest this, how strong that will be for all of us. I don't think we'll want to leave.
Yeah.
So let's go back. Let's go back a little bit. We were talking about our awakening, and then Michael, you were saying all these things, and I was kind of bringing back to like both you and Rochelle kind of came here with, wanting more to this life, what was going on, like exploring, you just had lost somebody. Kind of tell me
Yeah,
a little bit.
personally, I lost my wife in
You personally lost
23.
your wife.
So she died of ovarian cancer, right? So here I am with literally like 4 or 5, 6 conditions. She gets one and dies.
Hmm.
I'm like, again, I don't want to dwell on that, but
Yeah. Yeah.
before she died, I was seeing 333, 2 years before she died, and 1 year after. Like 333 every day, all the time, right? So I was seeing lots of. I was at the time in 21. That's when I really started diving into spirituality. I started weeding out bad habits. I was doing a video game. I was playing 3 to 4 to 5 hours a day,
Hmm.
just to numb myself and just to
Yeah.
numb myself from reality. But then it basically hardened my heart to the point where I had almost no feelings in my heart. So I started going back around 2019, and then by 2021, I had left my other job, and then 2021, I started going to spirituality like Gaia and stuff like that. And then I started exploring near-death experiences. Almost like everyone sort of goes through these little first steps into spirituality, and you evolve, and you explore one thing, you go into another, but then you start realizing that those things start to fall away, and you start to go other ways. So I did soul path coaching with Pamela, and that really helped define my path per se. Like this
Hmm.
year, I'm more of a flow. So like just yesterday, I stopped posting stuff in LinkedIn. No, I've been doing like a bad habit for years. I have my hand up.
Yeah, you raised your hand. Isn't that funny how like AI will like catch it?
Frig off AI.
Hey AI, I want to give you a high five, Michael.
I was not raising my hand. Anyway, I'm not posting on LinkedIn. And I said today, I said I'm taking the month off because the paradox was I was getting a lot of traction from people being interested in me, but then it almost felt like time
Mm,
vampires, right?
mm,
So I right now I'm in the flow. I'm taking my time back. I'm focusing on just what interests me, and refining myself, and that's what this year feels like, staying in the flow. And then I want to keep things simple, and then keep distractions away from me. So what's happening as there's pressure from Kim, the hand is up. I wonder if I gave a special middle finger of a bird. Anyway, the more the outside tries to push, the more I want to let things go and stay in the flow and just focus on what I have to do because I have no
Yeah.
time for the shenanigans that's happening out there right now because like spiritually immature. I don't know what to describe is going on out there right now, but and I test it's amazing how closed, or I wouldn't say closed-minded, by how people are still rejecting what's right in front of them. And I go,
Yeah.
what's going on? Like, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, can I ask a question? And how do you feel about your wife's passing? Like, how are you dealing with her transition? Like,
Oh, yeah. So before she started, like, here's the thing, like it was the beginning of 22, and she just got her third shot. And the day after her third shot, she got symptoms of ovarian cancer.
yeah,
So, and it was stage 4 by like June of 22. And
yeah,
she got the large mass taken out in July of 22. She battled chemo all the way through 22. By the beginning of 23, she was showing no markers. Like she seemed to be fine, right?
mm-hmm.
So at the same time this happening, I'm watching Next Level Soul. I'm watching about NDEs. I'm sort of like
So you're
staying in
already in your spiritual path at this point.
oh yeah. I'm
Okay.
I'm I'm staying in the moment with
Yeah,
her. I'm not thinking about the future.
yeah,
I'm not stressing about it. I'm just being with her and staying in the moment with her. I'm not trying to be upset. I was just trying to be as present as possible when I'm with her, when she's, going through the stages, because I don't know what's going to happen.
yeah,
But
yeah,
but like uh when like, it was fast. So like she had no symptoms. She had just done her chemo beginning of 23, and she seemed to be fine in January. But by the end of February, the mass was growing again. And then by beginning of March is inoperable. And then she died or passed away on April 5th, 2023. Um, so, I just saw her the night before, and she had a clot near her heart,
mm-hmm.
and she was taking a lot of morphine. And they said if you take morphine, you have to is more susceptible, or you can't take the blood clot blocking medication. So
Yeah,
the next morning, on the morning of the 5th, I was thinking on the way to my Rotary Club meeting, I says I got to tell the doctors about um, the morphine and the blood, because that's a high chance of her dying from that.
yeah,
So that was before the meeting, and at the end of the meeting, they called and said my wife had passed away. So,
wow.
and then lots of synchronicities. My wife had come in spirit to the house and knocked a few things off the wall.
Oh,
So,
making
and,
her presence.
and then Pamela. I think Pamela, Joanne, my wife's name, like she's basically coordinated me to spirit calling, and she's communicated with Pamela during soul path coaching and stuff like that. But the way I dealt with now, what happened with me, my grief went through my system into one of my um, chronic illnesses, my psoriatic arthritis. So
Mm-hmm.
for like 8 months
Yeah,
after my wife died, I could barely move.
mm-hmm.
I couldn't even put my hands above my head for my psoriatic arthritis. My shoulders hurt, my knees hurt, my elbows hurt. And so, but finally I got out of it end of 23. And that's how I dealt with it physically. Mentally or spiritually, I said, well, I guess, um, I guess her soul made a decision to leave
Mm-hmm.
at this point. And that's how I really helped myself mitigate it. But the day after she died, I heard her say, or I heard a voice say, Michael up here. So I heard
Mm-hmm.
her voice. That was the first time I
Yeah,
started hearing voices the day after she died. So she said, Michael. And then I've heard other voices since then. So, and then by almost a year after she died, I dreamt about cobalt blue. I go,
Mhm.
why am I dreaming about cobalt blue? So on the very day, a year after she died, I went to see a medium, and she was there with my uncle Marcel, Archangel Michael, and Archangel Gabriel. So
Mhm.
Archangel Michael's color was cobalt blue, and that's why I dreamt about it. So anyway, so um, he's Archangel Michael's one of my, team, right? So and then Joanne was in it, she helped. She had some input in the soul path coaching this past in with Pamela. So she sent some messages along. So she's always around. So um, she's not like people say you're dead and dying and you're gone, but you're not. She's always around. I mean, I felt her yesterday and I felt her today, and she'll send songs sometimes, and you just have to be aware of the messages. And I've been like, after being hit with 333 nonstop for 3 years, it was driving me nuts. So it's
Yeah.
okay, I'm getting the message. So anything that like my dog passed away in 24 and she comes in at my lower legs, tingles my lower legs. My wife will tingle in my top.
Interesting.
Uh,
So
yeah, and I here's yeah.
you've had quite a transition with starting to be aware spiritually
Yeah,
as she's passing, like she's still present and
yeah,
then she crosses
yeah,
over
yeah.
wherever
And
that is,
so
but
because
still
I
with
was
you.
doing that, it buffered my grief
Mm,
somewhat. I think it sort of like prepared me mentally.
yeah,
So being spiritual and realizing that you're an eternal soul, that you're part of the one, and your soul is forever, and seeing evidence of that all over the place
yeah,
through NDE experiences, what you watch on TV, then that really, really buffered. So what I would say, the grief that might have been at 25-30% of grief if I hadn't been, if I'd just been almost a total atheist, like I almost was, I would have been like, instead of being 30% grief, it'd be 100% grief. It'd be even more
right.
painful, right?
I
So,
really appreciate you sharing that because,
yeah,
this is great for
I've
anybody
shared
that
it
might be.
before, and this thing is like, why do you want me to share it again?
Well, this is why we do this conversation every month,
I
right?
know,
Because
but
it's,
yeah, so like the whole
well, the
thing
death
of,
and I don't know if I ever asked specific questions on your
yeah, but here it
grieving
is
process and
in
or your
relation,
spiritual transition.
but
Well,
here it is.
and you've
Yeah.
also finished your soul path coaching probably since you've talked about it last
Oh
time.
yeah,
And I've
oh yeah, I'm
Yeah.
done.
I certainly
Yeah.
hear you sharing many more experiences
Yeah.
that you've had of
Oh yeah, I won't go into that stuff.
And I'm
I
new
did
to
it.
the group.
that
I did
stuff.
have. I did. Go ahead.
Sorry, I said I'm
Yeah.
new to the group, so it's nice to hear your story as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Stories go a long way. And I know
Mm.
you might have told them. And when Pamela goes and speaks, right, she shares her story. I've heard her story since I've met her. But every time I hear it, or in just a different way, it resonates something. It brings out something else to the collective that
Here's the
needs to
thing.
be heard.
When someone loses someone like a spouse that dies, um, it puts you in a different perspective. So when somebody tries to use fear against you to make you do something, and your
Yeah.
wife or your beloved has died already, it's like, I don't really care.
You can't
You
do
can
that
make
to
me
me.
afraid. You can make me, I know my wife is there. I'm going there too. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Mm.
and that's something I learned back, like I mentioned 2011. One of the things I taught myself in an extremely toxic environment was only worry about things that you can control. And geez,
Now you got stuck. You got you
how
got
did I do that?
fireworks. She says, Spirit says, yay, definitely.
Did someone do that on me on purpose?
Wow, that was amazing.
I didn't do that.
That looks so nice.
That
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 was
was from
so
Spirit.
awesome. I don't know what.
Yeah, right
How
on
did I do
time.
that? How did I do that? I didn't touch
Only
anything.
It's your, you know who it
let go
is.
of
You
only
know
what
who
you
it
can
is.
control.
You know who it is, Michael.
My wife.
Mm.
It is.
How did I get so who did that? Like really?
She
Who did
did
that?
do that. She did it.
I
She
did
just
not
I
told
do
don't
us.
that.
even know. I don't even know if it's how you would even do that.
I don't
I
even
didn't
know how
touch.
you would do it
Yeah,
because you
I was
didn't do
wondering
it.
who
And
did
this
it.
is
And
proof
that's why I'm
that
trying to move
spirit,
my hands to make the fireworks. I did something with
you
my
didn't
hands.
do anything, Michael. She did it. I don't know
No.
any button that does
Joanne and her
that.
shenanigans.
But it's proof to show you that you, like I said, you said it already. There's nothing to be afraid of. You already know where you're going. You already know that this is eternal, right? It's just a
Yeah.
different form. And we still just
So,
don't our minds can only grasp so much
and
because we're
sometimes
still
we
here.
get frustrated by looking at other people's spiritual journeys. And I find that's myself, even today, I'm a little bit envious. I'm going to go, wait a minute. Everyone has their own unique path and your own unique book of,
Yeah.
so each page we do, it's different. So this morning, I mean, I'm really had a hard time sleeping last night. So I hear, I hear 622 and I go, June 22nd? No. And this,
Lottery numbers?
no. It says, and
Hmm.
it says, then I heard Matthew. So I look
Mm.
up Matthew 6:22, and
Wow.
this morning, and it means the eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are good, your whole body will be full of light.
I just got the chills.
Yeah.
Wow.
That
So that's
is
what I heard this
amazing.
morning. 6:22. Then Matthew. Then I looked it up the verse today in the Bible.
That's amazing. Isn't that those
Wonderful.
gifts are just so beautiful. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing
Yeah.
that. That means a
Yeah.
lot to
One,
me.
it's like
Anyway,
it's when you share your stories and then when we have if and then you have it I have an experience, let's say, and I
It's
would normally be like,
3:33. It's 3:33 and we have had 33 views. I'm
oh
telling
wow.
you, she's with us. Sorry, I
appreciate
had
it.
Wow.
to interject.
Oh,
Sorry.
no problem. But yeah,
That's a
and
good
you have
one.
those moments and I say to like 9 is the number that I see all the time. And it was the number that connected me with my father. And so, but only because I'm in a group where people share those things, my mind would say, well, that's just a coincidence. So
Hmm.
yesterday, I'm here in Virginia, so I went to the Edgar Casey Center for a gallery reading last night. So I'm saying, I'm saying in the car, told my mom I'm gonna hopefully talk to my dad. I can tell her those things. She thinks I'm crazy, but she says, well, just tell him I miss him and I love him. And I said, okay. So I was thinking about taking this writing class that they were having, and I'm looking at the flyer, and it's a little expensive, and I'm like, well, all right, Daddy, if I'm supposed to take a writing class, when she reads me, you make her say something about writing. So, and then we're sitting there, and I'm like, okay, I want to be first. And I tell him, I said, I want to be first. Well, I was first. She said, that my father was coming through, and she shared some things that, definitely made sense and resonated. And last night I dreamt about my father.
Wow.
So, and I didn't remember when I first woke up. So this morning I come out where I'm pet sitting. I come out and I had pulled my journal out last night and wrote down a few things. And like my, I'm getting some sensations in my body, as my friend Ruth would say, as I'm
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about this, or my friend
Right
Shantae, my
now.
head.
Right now. Are you
Yeah, my
buzzing?
head just feels, yeah. And it feels like it's like I don't know, like it's tight. But
Yeah.
so this morning I got the journal out and I was like, what the heck am I gonna write? And then I remembered that I had dreamed. And and it's just telling it. It's like I got these energetic tears rolling down my face again. This has been happening for a couple months. I feel like I'm crying
Yeah.
rivers, but
Yeah.
nothing is coming. And
Like
again,
your eyes feel full, but there's no
well,
tears
no, I
coming.
feel like, what it feels like when you have tears rolling down your face?
Yeah.
I feel the sensation of the tears, but there's no tears.
Wow.
So, yeah, and so I just thank Spirit. Think I'm releasing something energetically, but
Yeah.
those are only things I can say today because of the stories that people have shared with us. And the other day, on the Tuesday call, like Isis and Mother of Creation and was like running through the thread. It was like, oh, I had a situation, and it was like one after another. So,
Yeah.
um, it was beautiful. It's beautiful.
When you were talking earlier about someone passing and wanting to learn more, was that your father that had passed? That
No, this was just a friend of mine. He was one of those people who was full of life. He used to say he had 9 lives, and he'd only used up like 7 of them at that point. Um, and we had dinner together, and he was gonna work a few more years, and build back up some of his monies. And then and the reason I on September 19th he called me, and I know that because that was my father's birthday was that day. And my
huh.
father had passed 2 years before that. And he said that he was in the VA and they said he had cancer. I'm like, what? It's not April Fool's Day. Oh, the kids want to be on I
Yeah,
said, what
that's
are you
fine. They're
talking
more than
about?
welcome to be on the call.
What are you talking about? And and 5 weeks later I was in his living room, and he took his last breath the next day. Now he didn't have any shots, which is, but a few years before that they had told him he had hepatitis, and he was a person that never drank a dose of alcohol. He was a daredevil, so he never changed the way his mind worked.
Was he in the
But
military, you said, though?
he was in the military. Yeah.
So they,
So
unfortunately, they get bombarded more than
yeah, he was
anybody.
a
And they're the,
Navy diver in the
yeah,
military, like he was 70, so he's like so probably in the 50s, 60s when they were doing some messed up
yeah.
stuff.
I don't know if he had Agent Orange, but I had a client that had that, and he's all messed up too, and he ended up
Yeah,
getting one of the shots as well and got Parkinson's shortly after that. So it's
yeah.
just a
So
shame.
and it was just such a quick, and he was just one of those people, like he was a great granddaddy to, he loved, everybody's great. And, he had his issues for sure. We all do. But I mean, just the love he had for his family. His daughter and him talked every single day. And she's just 30 with kids of her own. And, just, I feel like, I can sense him. Our thing is a sand dollar, and I tell him to send me a sand dollar. And one time I didn't see any I was like, okay, I wasn't on my path. And then some things changed, and my daughter asked me if I got out of the bad relationship. My daughter asked me if I would spend a few months helping out with the baby, and just I was gonna make a huge change in my life. And I was like, all right, if this is really supposed to happen, and I had been at the beach a few days and hadn't seen anything, I said, send me a sand dollar.
Mhm.
Well, like a few steps later, I saw a starfish. And then um, over the course of like a mile walk, I saw over a dozen sand dollars. I was like, all right, I get
Wow.
it. I get it.
Isn't that
And
funny?
there's
It's like,
been,
all right, you need enough. We're gonna send it on over. I love when Spirit does that. I read this book too, that Signs. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. I forget the author's name, and I passed on the book because it was so good. But it talks about like how they're everywhere, like Michael said. They're always communicating because we're all in it together, even though our minds can't perceive it as everything all at once. We're becoming more aware. And I think that what they say, that DNA strands will change. I don't know. I don't know what you guys know about that, but that junk DNA they say that we have really isn't junk DNA, and it's all going to come online. So I'm
yeah,
just excited about it all. I really think it's fascinating.
yeah. And with the new babies, like I said, I have a new grandson that's only a little over a year. So, I'm excited to see. And even in the ones that are a little bit younger, like his brother is 6, I see a difference in him in the 6-year-old versus like the 10-year-old or the
Yeah,
13-year-old. It's
like
just,
their being, right? Like they're
yeah, they're
human
a little
beings. They're different.
softer. Yeah,
Oh
they're
my
like softer and just,
they don't function the way that we do. I have an 11 and an 8-year-old, and they're nothing like there's no reference point because how we lived is nothing like how my kids live. Like they're very much in their comfort. They're very much happy in this like lifestyle and would not change it. There's no level of like, we had to have like grit and we had to grind and we had to get out there and we like responsibility. And we were out in the woods. Like we came back when when it was dinner time. And now it's like they just are comfortable. They're like, we like it here. I want to go back to being a baby. I'm like, no, we got to
Yeah.
go forward.
Hmm.
I just feel like the kids are just, and they have their skills with technology is like none other. Um, it's amazing to watch, even when they were little, how they could handle an iPhone like a champ. Like, I mean, literally, they could. If you see and hopefully you don't have them near them, the phones as often, but if you were to give them, they intuitively know how to scroll and do all the things because I think that they're built with whatever to manage that type of technology.
And I think they're much more open to, like, my 13-year-old grandson. We talk. I can talk to him about, like, other beings and the energy. He's like, well, duh, well, it makes sense,
Yeah.
and it's, well, not really. It still doesn't really make sense to me. we
They-
he I took we went to a thing. It was a Church Street Christmas, and the lady was there, explaining the birth and the way of the earth, and he's like, well, that just doesn't make sense. And I
yeah.
was like, come on, let's go.
Yeah, we're always telling our kids to be open thinkers, I don't ever, my parents, believe it or not, gave me this gift of critical thinking. I don't think they realized it regardless, but I loved being able to, I had so many questions based on religion or based on what they taught you in schools, and things just never added up. Like the whole, I'm not going to get into like, landing on the moon, but like the whole dial up, I mean, phone, like the coil phone, and like, I don't know, none of it really makes sense when we look at it now. Like, we can't reinvent that technology, but we landed on the moon with all that. Like, part of me is just like, all these things that people were talking about today, like about the types of levels of protection during COVID. And they were going to, this one girl couldn't wear a mask and they were going to put her in a closet away from the kids to make her go to school. And they actually used that as like, that was an option. Like, do you think that's a good option? Like, she'll stay in the closet and then when they can come out and eat lunch, she can come out because we'll take her masks off for the 45 minutes and then she'll go back in the closet. That was really one of their like solutions. And to me, I don't understand that. Like to me, I don't know what happened to our cognitive thinking abilities. And all I can say is fear. Fear took over
Yeah.
more than
Fear
Yeah.
dumbs you down, and that's why they constantly use fear as a tool to keep you in that state. It never seems to end, and it just seems to be ramping up. But it's becoming more obvious what they're doing, and I don't see how those files, even though there's still people who ignore that,
yeah,
how are you going to mitigate that back to nothing? There's no way. You got
you
to put that
can't.
genie back in the bottle.
I
Uh,
think I think it was
yeah,
a huge awakening
But
for
yeah.
see
the
that,
collective.
I, but I mean, even to my own son, I said something to him the other night, and he said they weren't doing. I don't know where you get that information. There's nothing saying they were doing that beyond abuse. Like in his mind, so like
How
whatever
old's your son?
wherever
Who is this?
he's
Your son?
my son. Yeah,
How
he'll
old is
be
he?
30.
He's
So
30.
Yeah.
however, like in his mind, whatever, because I don't watch mainstream media at all.
Yeah.
I get my information by doing my own investigating and reading the articles and figuring out for myself and watching some other people that really tell the truth.
Yeah.
But in his mind, the only thing that's really been out there is that they were abusing children sexually, but that's it.
Yeah.
And really, very,
And
yeah. So
and
like I'm like, so I did send him something, and I happened to mention shadow government, and then that's when he really was like, Mom, I gotta go. But
Yeah.
I did, and I thought that his generation was a little more awake. But so I did send him a
yeah.
video, and I did ask him to watch it. So we'll see. Because I, yeah,
My daughter's 30 also. She's just as like your
I think that
yeah,
son.
there's a group there that also I think is not capable yet. They're not ready to see yet.
yeah. So like,
And some
my
make a
kid,
conscious choice not to.
they're yeah, they're in the place where, like, okay, they can get, they're where I was, I guess, when I first joined Spirit Calling. that there's more and connection, and spirit is within us and that kind of stuff. But beyond that, the things that I've learned over the last few years of the way, because my mind would have used to have gone, how does God let this happen in this world?
Yeah.
Well, now I know it's
Yeah.
not God allowing this to happen. It's beyond that. But God, the source, the light, we can all come together
Yeah.
collectively, and we can help bring the light out, and help that darkness to be exposed.
And
Absolutely.
It's not.
that's an incredible step for you, because that takes
Yes,
years for
it is.
people to, I mean, it took, I mean, I would suppose I would think that also, but that some people it takes years for that evolution of thought to happen. So once you,
Oh,
that's like a major milestone that you can say, God does not let this to happen, right? So,
Yeah. I'll
yeah,
have
and
to
that
send
and
you a
that
post that
really
I saw earlier, Michael.
yeah,
Take a
and
like.
that really, I've only gotten to this place within the last few months, I'd say, and exactly when I needed to, because of the, it would be difficult for me to go through what I'm learning about the world at this point with that mindset. And one of our members was sharing his story on one of the calls, and he was very involved in a certain organization, religious
yeah,
organization, and he went through his journey, and he shared with us, same thing. And it was like it gave me permission to let go finally of what I was told and what I was supposed to believe about the way the world worked.
Right. It's a
Yeah.
shedding.
so
It's like delay, like taking apart the onion, right? And also,
And again, I got
sometimes we
those
have to
that
take,
feeling.
yeah, and sometimes we have to take the responsibility that if people open up to these beliefs, that they now made choices that might have affected their families because they trusted these people. Like there's lots of responsibility that people take on that they won't want to accept it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like people that may have done certain things because they were trying to be good people and they believe people that were horrible satanic people
Mm.
for what they said
they,
and follow protocol or whatever. And it's hard for them to say, well, how could such evil be among us, and I'm just trying to do the best for my family.
I
Yeah.
can use an example in terms of COVID times where obviously we weren't allowed to have parties or gatherings,
Yeah.
etc. A few people around the house. Then it was revealed that Boris Johnson, who was the Prime Minister at the time, was having parties and
Yep.
whatnot. And my family, when I said I didn't want to have the COVID jab, were very doing the politicians' work, very, no, you have to get it done, and they were really aggressive
Hmm.
with how they were and very rude as well with trying to enforce something. So they were enforcing, and even strangers were trying to enforce this kind
Absolutely.
of you must have it. And
Yeah.
now no one even
Yeah.
talks about it. Now it's dismissed as, oh, no one talks about that
Well,
anymore.
did you
COVID,
guys get like risk for losing your jobs? I mean, if you didn't get the jab, lots of people lost their
there was
jobs.
the
Like
NHS,
lots.
yeah,
Yeah.
apparently, yeah, that was
Yeah. I
a,
wasn't working at the time, so it wasn't an issue, but I did have that outside influence. My kids, all three of them, even, my son, he was like, even dad did it. And I'm divorced from his father, but I ended up getting one of the, when it was one of those, you had to get two shots for the one. And I
mhm.
ended up feeling the pressure, and I ended up getting the one. And then after I did it, it was like I was just starting to wake up. I didn't even know it. My friend didn't die till 22, but it was kind of like in my mind, it was like, I don't feel like anybody should be able to tell me what I have to do to be
Yeah.
able to live in this
nobody.
world. And
Interesting.
luckily I
So,
had moved at the beginning of 2020. I was living in Florida my whole life, and I went to North Carolina for a few months, and so I was in nature, and I was in a whole different environment. I mean, and I just even how that happened, I mean, I packed up my car and I left, and then I had somebody bring my stuff eventually, but just I can see now how spirit was preparing me, and the people that I met, I met this woman, and she would tell me about energy medicine and soul contracts, and I thought, I have no idea what she's talking about, but I can just see the beauty of how it transpired. But yeah, there was so much pressure around that shot,
Absolutely.
and you couldn't go to concerts.
Yeah.
Luckily, yeah, it was like I was like, then I'll just never go to a concert. I
Yeah.
wasn't happy about the not being able to fly thing because I think there was even a time they were talking about that, but I was just like, but there, I remember
It was an
my
insane time.
my
It was,
sister knew somebody you could get fake thingies for because she liked to go to concerts.
yeah.
So she'd get a fake whatever. But
Yeah, I
it
do.
was,
Well,
and
now
you can, again,
what's
hindsight.
what's so shocking to me is though, like, so we know Bill Gates was a huge component of the jab, right? And he's all over the files. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, even what happened with his wife, I don't know if you guys heard about him trying to get an antibiotic for his wife. Did you guys hear
Yes,
about that? But like
yes,
Mm,
this is mainstream now. So
I
knowing how
know.
involved he was with that, how is it still advertised? How is it still
Yeah,
acceptable? How are we not? How is it even allowed? Yet
here's
we're
what
the
I had to
ones
deal with.
demonized, or if we speak out about any kind of truth, we're the ones that are the anti
I
this, or isn't it bizarre? I don't get any benefit by just saying, hey, maybe stop and think and pause. If anything, it's going to help you. It's not going to help me. I mean, it helps the collective, I guess, but ultimately, you're the one with the choice. I don't gain anything, but this man, Bill Gates, gained a lot of stuff. You know,
Mm.
I mean, horrible. He even said it in his
because
TED Talks. That's how he was going to do population control before
that's
it
because
right.
even,
I think
And yet,
Yeah,
unless
there's
you're listening to people telling that truth, if you're listening to mainstream media, you're not hearing that.
yeah,
And
bingo.
so unless you're searching it out or somebody is, or you'll hear a whisper and you'll say, "Oh, that's bullshit. If that was true, they'd have him in jail." Because
that's
There
true.
was a
that's
lot
what
of
I
conspiracy
used. That's
theories.
how I would have thought 2 years ago. I'd have
But
been
isn't
like,
that
"Oh,
crazy how it's
yeah,
like out there and nothing happens? And it's just like, yet you'll see a commercial, get your flu shot, get your COVID shot. I'm like, cuckoo, cuckoo. It drives me insane. I think it's so wrong. I think it's a crime against humanity. I really do.
Ugh.
yeah."
I used to work in mainstream media,
You know how it works.
and
And you know how it works,
and
Michael.
I'm still a member of Rotary International, and their big poster child is Mr. Gates. So at
Mm.
the end of
Still,
last
like
year,
still presently.
yes, I took a leave of absence from Rotary because I could not stand the the lack of critical thinking in a room full of people who I thought were critical thinkers.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
like
and
you know, like and I found some really weird or really bad things about the shots for polio, the drips that in India back in 2010s that would cause polio-like symptoms when they took
Yeah,
too much of those drops. But you
absolutely.
never hear about that in
You
Rotary
don't hear about it.
International,
And
right?
you're looked negatively. Like for anyone who's watching, and if this is something that you're hearing for the first time, the well, I'm personally going to tell you, I've probably for 5 years have been watching someone, Del Bigtree, if you guys know who he is. Aaron Siri, he's the attorney who worked for him and for Informed Consent Network and everything like that. So people can have the information for their children's health. And that's how my awakening really started too, with my own children's health. So for anyone with what we're discussing, if they're hearing all this for the first time, this isn't our first, you know, ditch effort, like to hear that this is bad, this is good. A lot of people that the argument started around COVID, but this was before COVID. All this stuff, if a lot of you guys are now kind of hearing how like the children's vaccine schedule, this stuff was going on prior, but you were like completely banished from society if you ever challenged the narrative. So, polio has a whole history. It's the same thing with COVID. They talked about all these deaths, right? And then the COVID shot came, but all the deaths came down prior to that. So they manipulate these charts, and in polio, if you watch, I think with Del Bigtree, there's one woman who did a whole study on polio. Again, same thing, how it appeared that the polio vaccine brought all the cases down when in fact it was what brought polio was something else in the fields that they fertilized, and it was something totally else that brought
Well, it
on
also correlates
symptoms.
to hygiene and um,
Yes.
cleanliness.
There was
It,
a
it,
specific
yeah,
symptoms though that they
yeah.
sprayed on the
Oh,
land,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah,
and then they created the vaccine, and then all of a sudden so there's a lot, like there's like we only have a perspective of television, right? Only what we can see or what they decide to show us is what we can observe. We're
yeah.
not privy to the bigger picture, and I still feel like we don't really truly know what this reality is. We're getting bits and pieces, and I think us coming together and sharing our stories, right, is creating a bigger consciousness to at least help us expand a little bit on what we do know. Because, like we said
That's
earlier with AI, now you won't even know what's real because it's
yeah,
gotten so good.
Well,
yeah.
and like
I
they
said,
can't, the genie's easier to get out of the bottle because there's more platforms and there's places people can have a voice. You
Yeah,
know, we're not left to mainstream media to
true.
decide what's happening out in the world, you
exactly.
know. And
Yeah,
because
I
they
do feel
show
like
us again
amen for that.
only what they want us to see, you know. So if they want us to think there's a lot of measles happening, that's what we're going to hear about.
Yeah.
If they want us to think everybody's healthy, we're going to hear that.
Suki, how are you
so
doing in London? You're in London?
Birmingham, Midlands. Yeah.
I know that, sorry guys to cut you off. I want to talk about this real quick before we leave, but me watching various podcasts and being up in the, the political spectrum of, what you can and cannot say. How are you
mhm.
doing? How do you feel as far as like sharing free speech since a lot of it has been kind of stripped away, I guess, to control, um, people? Would you say that's the case, or is that just, uh,
Um,
something
I
else that
would
we're hearing that's
say
not the case?
I'm not aware of the news because I've not been following the news. So I don't really know what's
Well,
happening.
people are getting
So
arrested if you say, apparently speak certain things or say certain things. So it's like if you say something negative about something on a platform, they can try to arrest you. I don't know if that's the case or not,
I
but
know there was a bill that they were bringing in terms of the right to protest, so
okay.
trying to strip away that ability to do that. I believe certain people were arrested in terms of saying they were terrorists because they were pro-Palestine and trying to
Oh,
just protest for Palestine, if that makes sense. But they were
wow. We went
being
up to 61
labelled.
views, guys. I'm sorry. Like just in just what we talked about, literally in like 3 minutes, we went from 34 views to 61. So whatever we
Wow.
said got
So.
people locked in. We'll see.
Yeah, so people are being arrested or being claimed to be terrorists. People that are doing peaceful protests and things like that
Yeah.
are being labeled
Sounds
as
a lot
terrorists
like America.
to
Yeah.
shush them up, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
those kind of
craziness.
things are happening. But
Yeah.
in terms of what's happening with the politics with Keir Starmer, I'm
Yeah.
not aware of
Well,
that
good.
because I'm not following that. Yeah.
That's good. That's a good place to be, not to participate. But
I,
wow, we
I,
got like
I dip
spicy
in
on
and
this.
dip out.
We got spicy on this 5D all day, which I love, And again, these are just things that we're witnessing for anyone who's out there that's, on your journey and you're trying to figure things out. This is what's come across our paths, and we openly
Yeah,
like to share so we can better understand how to navigate our lives, right? And to help others. So I hope you all enjoyed this conversation. I know I did.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you all for coming, Michael, Rochelle. It's been a while, Rochelle. I think you came
Yeah.
on a few months ago, but and Suki,
Yeah.
this is your first time. So thank
Yeah, my
you.
first time.
Very honored to be able to do this with you. And looks like next month we'll be here probably on the last Friday, the 27th, another 27
Oh,
like
wow.
27, at the same time, and we'll have another lovely conversation. But if anyone else has anything else to say, we'll say goodbye and see you guys next time.
Well, thank you for holding the space.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you
you.
so
thanks.
much,
Thanks.
everybody. Have a
Okay.
Thank you.
lovely
Bye.
weekend. Take
Bye
You
care.
bye.
too.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye bye.